We have a lot of games that we know plenty about that are on the horizon. But some projects we know exist, but don't really know exactly what they will be. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation, and that's what we're going to talk about. Hi, folks, it's Falcon. Today on gameranx, 10 big unannounced games in the works. Starting off with number 10, it's Cory Barlog's next game. The director of God of War's stellar 2018 reboot sat out the sequel, who's only a producer on Ragnarok. So what's he been up to this whole time? Well, we don't really know. The studio and Barlog have been silent about exactly what their next game is going to be. And while there have been a few rumors it's going to be a sci-fi game of some sort, a recent post from journalist Jason Schreier suggests those rumors might be completely off base. Now, compared to most rumor mongers and leakers, Schreier is kind of a lot more reliable with information. So when he says something is about to be revealed, an in-development project, people are more inclined to listen to him over some random Yahoo. According to him, Santa Monica's next game is not a new IP, but it may feel like one. He also said the sci-fi rumor was nonsense, also that development is going well, but the thing I'm most interested in is that it is not a new IP. What could that be then? God of War 2018 was a game that used an existing IP, but looked and felt completely different from the original games. Are they doing a soft reboot of some other dormant Sony franchise, like some other complete revamp, or are they talking about doing a God of War follow-up? I don't know. If the lead character was no longer Kratos, yeah, it would feel like a pretty big departure for the series. It would basically feel like a new IP, but in this case, I just don't know if that's going to happen, and if it does, I'm not so certain people would accept it. Speaking of accepting things, I find it unacceptable how many of you are not subscribed to this channel. It's the easiest way to see new gameranx videos every single day, and it also helps us make them. Like, it's pretty vital in that respect, so press that subscribe button. But yeah, that whole make another God of War game with a different protagonist thing, it would be risky as hell. But hey, they made some pretty bold choices with the 2018 God of War and its follow-up, so at least in this early stage, I'm going to trust whatever Barlog and Santa Monica are going to be doing. And number 9 is Dan Houser on the Absurd Ventures new game. Dan Houser, in many ways, defined the voice of the Grand Theft Auto series. He was a producer and writer for nearly every game and the Red Dead games. He was an essential part of what made the formula for Rockstar work, but he left the company in 2021 to co-found his own studio called Absurd Ventures. It's a similar situation to Build a Rocket Boy, where a pivotal GTA series guy splits from Rockstar to make their own game. But I have to imagine whatever Dan Houser is working on next is probably going to be better than Mind's Eye. We know next to nothing about the game they're making, at least not officially, but there have been some insider sources willing to reveal a few interesting tidbits about what's to come. When Absurd Ventures revealed itself last year, they announced they weren't just making video games, it was going to be a multimedia thing, producing live action and animation and books and comics and scripted podcasts. The game is the thing everyone actually cares about, though, and that's what they haven't said a word about. We do know that job listings for Absurd Ventures revealed they were looking for people with experience with open world games and wanted employees who are experienced specifically with third-person combat, driving, traversal, everything in a Grand Theft Auto-like. Recently, the studio announced an audio drama set in a new sci-fi universe called A Better Paradise, and insiders have revealed their new game will be set in the same universe. The concept is apparently about some kind of digital game world project that goes awry, maybe a Sword Art Online type situation, I don't know. It's different from Rockstar's usual bread and butter, but obviously Dan Houser wanted to do something different here. Long way off, but it's intriguing, and it doesn't appear to want to literally be everything. It seems to have a definite story it wants to tell, which was sort of the after-the-fact thing that they had to graft onto everywhere to shoot Mind's Eye out when they ran out of money or whatever's going on over at Build a Rocket Boy. At number 8 is Larian's follow-up to Baldur's Gate 3. During the SEA Game Awards back in 2024, Larian's CEO let it slip their next game will be coming in about 5 years, which at least confirmed something was in the pipeline after the runaway success of Baldur's Gate 3. But now in 2025, we just don't know much about what they're doing next. With Patch 8, being the last major update for Baldur's Gate 3, the chatty head of the studio, Sven Vinke, revealed that the studio is hard at work on their next game. Actually, games, plural. They're making 2 games at the same time, but all we actually know is they're going to have a lot of player agency and complexity like Baldur's Gate 3. One thing we know for certain is that their next game is not Baldur's Gate 4. They're moving on from the license, and the Wizards of the Coast are seemingly making their own follow-up without Larian's assistance. I'm not going to speculate much on what that's going to be, but as far as Larian goes, I think another Divinity game, probably a safe bet. But it could be literally anything, like maybe they're doing another big license game. Who knows? Whatever it is, Larian is the premier CRPG developer right now. Whatever they do next, it's going to be something to watch out for. Even if it's anything close to a reveal or release date or anything like that, it's pretty far off. And number 7 is the revived Tango Gameworks game. The story of Tango has been a real roller coaster ride. First, they got a big breakthrough surprise hit with Hi-Fi Rush. Then the studio got closed along with a bunch of other noteworthy Bethesda studios, kind of out of nowhere. For bullshit reasons, obviously, they had a hit and they got closed. And then Krafton miraculously revived the studio, and it's not one of those in-name only situations. Most of the original Tango staff are returning for the new venture. Nothing has been revealed about what they're working on next, but the obvious answer is a sequel to Hi-Fi Rush. They have the rights to it, and they're hiring people with third-person action game experience. Seems like the obvious choice to capitalize on the goodwill they got from that last game. With a newly revived studio, a safe bet's probably the best bet, but they're also not exactly known for making safe, easy choices. It's possible the next game is something entirely new. They've shown they're not afraid to play around with different genres. All 3 of the series they've made up to this point have been wildly different in style and tone. Probably going to be Hi-Fi Rush 2, though. They'd kind of be crazy not to, and they were kind of given a lease on life by a company that probably wants Hi-Fi Rush 2, if you think about it. So, probably Hi-Fi Rush 2. And number 6 is the next Total War game. Creative Assembly's Total War series has been going strong since the year 2000, dominating its own little niche of the PC gaming market with massive tactical war games of incredible size and scope. With Total War Warhammer 3 pretty much completely covering all major armies of the old world of Warhammer, everyone's wondering what the next big project's going to be. The major rumors I've been hearing for years now is they're completely reworking the engine to accommodate a different kind of game. For a while, the big speculation was they were making either a World War I game, a Star Wars game, or a Warhammer 40k game. The last one seems to be the most likely, because rumors about the first 2 have mostly disappeared, but we know that Creative Assembly is doing a new fantasy game of some sort, and we know that Warhammer 40k is even more lucrative than the regular Warhammer license. Potential Total War Warhammer 40k would be like a license to print money, which the studio needs. They certainly haven't given up on historical games yet, and while rumors around this stuff might sound maybe not as exciting as like a Star Wars Total War, if you're a fan of classic Total War, the possibility of them finally making a Medieval 2 is a big deal. It's likely that they're working on 2 titles right now. One of them is probably 40k, and another is probably something historical. And number 5 is From Software's unannounced game. Yeah, the Switch 2 exclusive multiplayer game, The Duskbloods, is coming in 2026. But according to a report from MP First, there's a potential second, more traditional game coming from the prolific studio in 2026. Take all this with a grain of salt, because the article doesn't say anything about who or what their sources are, even in the most vague terms, but at least the information given is detailed enough that it sounds fairly legit. Apparently, From is in the advanced stages of production of another game with the codename FMC. It's an internal abbreviated codename, and it tells us a few things. For one, it's not a DLC. Those usually have the same codename as the game it's based on, and FMC is a new one. The article also surmises that FMC is not the Duskbloods, because FMC is a multi-platform release, while Duskbloods is Switch 2 only. Another thing noted in the article, the only other games to get a codename starting with F are Dark Souls games and Armored Core, which might, emphasis might, mean whatever they're secretly working on. It could be an Armored Core game or a Dark Souls game, possibly a rumored Dark Souls 3 remake that we've been hearing about. This could all end up being nothing, but I wouldn't put it past them to make some kind of Armored Core semi-sequel or DLC or something. It's not impossible knowing their track record with that series, but I'm just not sure what their next unannounced game could be. They're usually not the most predictable people, other than it will be probably either a slow, methodical action game or a big robot action game. Those are probably fair predictions, but yeah, it's exciting to learn that it may be coming sooner than later. Let's cross our fingers. And number 4 is whatever Toys for Bob is making next. This developer with a goofy name has been responsible for some excellent platformers. Their Spyro trilogy remakes were excellent. Crash Bandicoot 4 is maybe a little on the difficult side, but otherwise completely excellent game as well. After the Microsoft merger, they managed to split from Activision and go independent, but it seems like they're still working closely with Microsoft on the next project, which has been the long-rumored Spyro 4. Fans want the developers to do for Spyro what they did for Crash Bandicoot, and while there's been no official announcements or reveals, in a Q&A, the studio did make sure all the replies were the color purple, implying Spyro is what's coming next. I'd be okay with whatever they do next as long as it's good work, but a new and improved Spyro would be very exciting to see. That series needs a reboot more than Crash did. Also, Crash 5. Let's see Crash 5, all right? I kind of thought we'd never see it, given they split after the Microsoft-Activision merger, but like the fact Spyro's on the table means more Crash is on the table too, all right? How about both? And number 3 is Machine Games' unannounced projects. We know they've mostly wrapped work on Indiana Jones, so what's next for the Wolfenstein developer Machine Games? Apparently, at least according to the audio director's LinkedIn profile, they're working on multiple projects, all of them unannounced. They could be canceled games, sure, but the studio has to be working on something now that Indy's done. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to hope it's Wolfenstein 3. They need to wrap up the story on those games, and the second game was a little shaky, but the Great Circle really showed the studio is more than capable of making really good stuff. They did one for Todd Howard, now they should do one for themselves, and finally get the opportunity to wrap up whatever story they're trying to tell with these games. It's also possible they're working on a Great Circle follow-up. The game feels mostly self-contained, but they did sneak in some hints about where a follow-up game could go, so it's not like they're completely taking the possibility of a sequel off the table. There's also the possibility of a wild card, something completely different. It's not likely. I feel at this point the studio is pretty defined in their niche as guys who make games where you kill Nazis, but who knows? Maybe they'll find some new universally hated and socially acceptable to do so group or organization to kill. And number 2 is Rocksteady's new Batman game. After the poor sales and generally negative reviews of their Suicide Squad game, sounds like Rocksteady's going back to what they do best, and they're making a new Batman game. At least, that's what a report from Bloomberg back in February says. It's been a while since we've gotten any real updates or news about what the studio is doing next, but hopefully the rumors end up being true, because it'd be finally another great Batman game. You know, it's been too long. I know a lot of people are ready to completely write off Rocksteady at this point. The founders bounced, they got hit with layoffs. Things have not been great over there, but I do think there's a chance for them to bounce back. The Arkham trilogy is just so damn good. We shouldn't just give up on the studio after one less than stellar game. I do hope the rumors end up being true and that Warner Brothers doesn't do stupid things like force them to make another live service game against their will. We know WB wants to make another live service game despite all their attempts trying to do them being massive failures. The only games that have been unequivocal successes have been Hogwarts Legacy and the Batman games, so maybe just stick to what actually works. Like, stop trying to copy other people's successes when other people can't even copy their own successes. Just continue succeeding with things that work. Like, if you don't do it Arkham, like, make a Batman set in the new James Gunn or Matt Reeves Batman universe and just make it play like Arkham. I'm fine with either of those things. Just let them make a good Batman game, all right? And finally, at number 1 is Fallout 5. When you're talking about unannounced games, it gets a little confusing. For example, the next Tomb Raider is announced, though we know almost nothing about it, while Fallout 5, a game that everyone knows is definitely coming, and Bethesda's next big game after Elder Scrolls 6, that's not announced. Like, Elder Scrolls 6 was announced. It was 7 years ago, which was way too early. Fallout 5, they've been a little more careful about, probably smartly so. All that is to say, no, I wouldn't blame anyone for assuming it. Fallout 5 has not been officially announced. Todd hasn't shied away from talking about it. In an interview with Variety, he said the game would probably take a good 5 years to make and that they're still planning for the future. Way back in 2021, he also said they had a one-page treatment for the game, and at E3 2022, Todd Howard all but confirmed the game after saying after Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5 was next. So nobody's afraid of throwing around the words Fallout 5, but no actual official announcements have been made. So what do we know about a possible Fallout 5? Not much. Howard has said he believes the Fallout games should be in the United States and that Americana is kind of a central part of these games, so I think it's safe to say the next Fallout will take place in another part of the United States that hasn't been visited yet. Chicago is a distinct possibility, as is New York, or it could be something completely out of left field, but it's probably going to be set in the United States. Other than that, though, the next Fallout could be anything, but it's probably going to be a long way off. We still have no real information about the next Elder Scrolls, and we know Bethesda is hard at work on that, so it's possible we could be a very long way away from a new Fallout game. I hope that's not the case because it's been too long, but what do you think? Leave us a comment, let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter, Falcon the Hero. See you next time right here on Game Ranks.